Welcome to US Daily News YouTube channel. The Ukrainian war spilled over into Russia. Russian cities close to the Ukrainian border have been feeling the effects of this war for a long time. Belgorod on the Ukrainian border has been plagued by derelict attacks, explosions, and Russian-friendly fire since the conflict broke out. Developments that may increase the tension in the Ukraine war continue to occur. Last night, a drone attack took place on the site of the thermal power plant on Severodonetskaya Street in Belgorod.
Мы хотим хотя бы месяц отстояться, потому что тяжелая была история, тяжелый был год.
Ну что ж, друзья, бойцы русского добровольческого корпуса снова ведут бои на территории Российской Федерации.
According to preliminary data, the drone attacked the power plant, planting 2 explosives on its territory. At this time, no casualties or injuries have been confirmed as a result of this incident. However, no information on the damage caused by such an attack has yet been shared. Shortly before this attack, Maisky settlement, located 20 kilometers from the Ukrainian border in the Belgorod region, was also attacked with the help of unmanned aerial vehicles. According to Baza reporters, the attack was carried out on the Ministry of Interior building. According to preliminary information, there were no casualties or injuries in the attack. Also on the same day, drones attacked the oil pipeline administrative building in the Pskov region. Local Governor Mikhail Vadernikov reported that an oil pipeline administrative building in Russia's Pskov region was damaged after a drone attack. The incident occurred near the Litvinovo locality. The Baza Telegraph channel indicated that a Transneft oil pumping station was targeted. The settlement of Litvinovo is located close to the border with Belarus. The governor said the drone attack caused an explosion that did not cause any injuries. Vadernikov reported that preliminary data showed 2 drones were involved in the attack. The head of the Russian FSB Border Guard Service, Vladimir Kuleshov, stated that since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, Russian territory has been attacked more than 2,000 times. On the other hand, the days were quite active in Belgorod this week. 2 separate units of ethnic Russians, after taking up arms in Ukraine, crossed the border and entered the Belgorod region. Pro-Ukrainian fighters who captured a town and 3 villages as a result of hours of fighting declared that they established the Belgorod People's Republic there. The Kremlin called the attack an act of terrorism by Ukraine. The Kremlin administration declared a state of emergency in Belgorod, while the warplanes and helicopters of the Russian Air Force started air operations within the borders of the country. The sounds of violent explosions in the region never ceased yesterday. The offensive, which carried the war into Russian territory, began at noon on Monday. Pro-Ukrainian Russian guerrillas, said to number around 250, were based at the Grey-Voron border crossing with several Russian-made T-72 tanks and about 15 American-made armored vehicles. Crossing the crossing where the border guards were stationed, the group began to advance into Russia on the highway. Implying that the action they started was not a shooter operation, the group hoisted the Belgorod People's Republic flag in the settlement they entered and gave the message that they would be permanent. In the videos from the region, it seemed that tanks and armored vehicles were advancing unhindered through the normal traffic on the highway. In the village of Kozinka, the group's first settlement, the police withdrew after a short clash. Belgorod Region Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov announced that 2 civilians lost their lives and were injured, and that shelter would be provided to those who had to leave their homes. The attackers made statements that they created a 15-square-kilometer liberated zone in the region. Thereupon, the Russian Ministry of Defense stated that they neutralized about 70 militants with aerial bombardment and artillery fire. In addition, a press conference was held for the Russian volunteer troops, which carried out an unprecedented military operation in Belgorod. Denis Nikitin, nicknamed the White Rex, the leader of the Russian volunteer troops, one of the 2 warrior groups affiliated with Kiev, boasted that when we arrived, everything was turned upside down, they did nothing. Denis Nikitin criticized the cowardice and unprofessionalism of the Putin troops. Nikitin tried to cover up the RDK's political leanings. Nikitin denied the neo-Nazi allegations, stating that they are a conservative and traditionalist right-wing military organization. The most important thing, in his opinion, is that the operation proved to Russia that the tyrants can be fought against, and that Putin's power is not unlimited. The RDK became known when they claimed responsibility for the attack on Russia in the Bryansk border region in early March. Another group involved in the attack is Russia's Freedom Legion, formed in the spring of 2022. Russia's Freedom Legion is led by former Russian Member of Parliament Ilya Ponomarev. Although these two groups claim ideological differences, they share the same passion. These groups want to overthrow the current Russian government. They want to return Donbass and Crimea to Ukraine and end a disastrous war. President Vladimir Putin, on the other hand, publicly completely ignored the Belgorod attacks. Vladimir Putin distributed medals, met with the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church, and hosted friendly foreign leaders. Putin had a small talk on television with a Russian judge about how Ukraine is not a real country. Mr. Putin, who has led Russia's biggest war in generations, looks more and more like a commander-in-chief. Putin publicly says almost nothing about the course of the war and worries little about Russia's failures. Instead, the Russian leader telegraphs more clearly than ever that his strategy is to wait for Ukraine and the West, and that he thinks he can win by consuming his enemies. Even if Vladimir Putin tries to ignore what's happening, the war has already crossed borders. On the other hand, late on the night of April 16th, residents of Belgorod, Russia, were shaken by a loud explosion that shook the ground beneath them. The explosion was followed by a temporary power outage lasting several seconds in various parts of the city. According to the news on social media platforms, it was claimed that the explosion occurred as a result of a fire in one of the city's thermal power plants, as a result of an unmanned aerial vehicle attack, allegedly coming from Ukraine. Videos circulating on social media showed a large cloud of smoke rising into the sky, signaling a massive fire at the power station. Although the exact cause of the explosion could not be officially confirmed, news on social media indicated that the explosion occurred as a result of a drone attack from Ukraine. In response to the incident, the governor of the Belgorod region reported that 2 fires were recorded at civilian facilities, but luckily no casualties were reported. As you can see, Russian leader Vladimir Putin is in danger of spreading the war he started to his own country. But Vladimir Putin's problems do not end. Russia's loss of 22 artillery systems and 31 UAVs in one day gives Putin a cold shower effect. A report from the Ukrainian military claimed that Russian forces lost a significant amount of equipment on Friday. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine has published updated figures of the ongoing tally of casualties suffered by the Russian army. The update was shared via the staff's official Facebook page. The update cataloged everything from troop casualties to destroyed military vehicles, with additions made to reflect Friday's alleged losses. Statistics showed significant losses over the course of the day for artillery systems and unmanned aerial vehicles, also known as drones. The personnel report claimed that Russian forces lost a total of 22 artillery systems on Friday, with a total loss of more than 3,400 since the start of the war. The report also showed that 31 UAVs have been lost since the start of the conflict, with a total of more than 2,900 missing. Besides the losses of unmanned aerial vehicles and artillery, other equipment losses mentioned in the report of the Ukrainian army were also significant. The report noted that Russian forces lost 3 tanks, 7 armored combat vehicles, 2 MLR systems, an anti-aircraft system, 10 cruise missiles, 11 general vehicles or fuel tanks, and 3 unspecified units called special equipment. The report also claimed that the invading force suffered about 480 casualties on Friday, bringing the assumed total since the start of the war to around 206,200. It seems that as long as the war continues, the Russians will continue to receive serious injuries. It's a matter of curiosity how Moscow, which is in trouble with casualties, will protect its cities and the situation on the front lines. We'll have to wait and see. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on your notifications. Thanks for watching.